So, happiness is not always measured in smiles. It's measured, by what you do for others. And this game is very eye-opening. It's called Change, and everyone needs a bit of change sometimes. And yeah, you're a person down on their luck who's lost their job, didn't manage to find another job, and now they're stuck living on the streets. And they became homeless as a result of this. So it's an interesting take on a roguelike. You have three goals at the start of each game. You have to get food and shelter, find a job, and rent a home. I didn't get to the rent the home part, but I gave it a shot. Each failed attempt to succeed gets you access to additional resources on the next attempt. So each playthrough will be different. There are three HUDs in the main game. There's a happiness meter which goes to 0, then it's game over, so you lose that attempt of living on the streets. There's a hunger meter which gets lower the closer you are to needing food, which goes down if winter you get hungrier faster, or other perks that have negative perks affecting your hunger meter. Or there's also a so there's another one which is like cleanliness, hygiene meter, which was the one I found happened just seemed to be affected the fastest. Like you have to go in the washroom and wash yourself in the game, or people don't respect you as much when you have poor hygiene, so that's why it's important to keep that up. And I found that was the hardest one to keep. The happiness is a bit more forgiving. It will stay up for quite a while. So there are various stores, like there's a convenience store, there's shelter, there's washrooms, scrap store, police station, library. They're all used to feed you, shelter you, wash you, or even educate you. Your ultimate goal is to get off the streets, which kind of makes sense, and start working. It sounds super simple, but like in real life, that's not so simple, and it's not so easy. So you have no home of your own. A lot of people that you ask for pocket change ignore you on the streets, which is kind of puts your character in a bad mood sometimes. You lose like usually 2 on the happiness meter. And police then are around making sure that you're not begging, and they'll arrest you and get moved to a different part of the city if they arrest you. So you could beg on the streets for money, but like they're constantly there, so you have to like be aware of, and like you can't ask someone and then they'll suddenly come on the screen and give you a warning a few times and then arrest you. So as you struggle to find food, your happiness, as I said, goes down. You retain warmth, people are rude to you. So all these things affect your like day-to-day existence in this homeless simulator. So the game gets even harder when you make moral decisions and get hurt inside shelters. So I protected a guy inside a shelter and it got my player injured. So actually you're injured on the streets and you can't walk as quickly. So that was kind of interesting take. You feel sorry for other homeless people and you give them money. Now this is an important thing to say now. This game is really good at building empathy, either opening your eyes that this is the reality for some people, and I think it does a really good job at that, mixing, and it helps you reflect on not everyone's as fortunate. I managed to survive until my first winter, but then it got harder. So there are in-game perks like being able to steal better, you can last longer without food, you can encourage people to give you more money or food. It's kind of tough seeing apathy in a game. I mean, it's one thing to experience it in real life, but I just cannot imagine how like the homeless population manages to survive after playing this game even briefly. Now the cons of this game is like the gameplay is fairly simple outside of like the perks. All the available stores in the game, they're directly related to your homelessness and your meters, so it's a little bit unrealistic in that sense. Yeah, the game gives you the impression that begging for money is very rough, but I have spoken to people that have done it, and sometimes you can get quite a lot of money, apparently. That's what I've been told. So Um, I'm sure people would also give more than 50 cents or $2. That's what I usually saw in the game. You know, some people might pay for your meal, some people might pay you $10. Um, if you knew that you really needed the money as a homeless person. Now, the reading in this game, while it seems important and like a cool idea, it puts you at like zero reading capacity, zero knowledge, which isn't entirely realistic. But I assume the reason why is once you get a job, you're doing really well in the game. But you then have to get like 14 on the reading literacy meter, and I managed to build it up. I think one job was asking for like 35 on the literacy meter, so it does take a while to do that, but it's not impossible. It just takes time. um, yeah, like I think you could get hired at some jobs without having a lot of that knowledge, like reading in the library for 10 hours as I was doing, or something like that. Yeah, some jobs they wouldn't expect you to do that, but I know it's a game, so. Someone playing this game might think that like taking drugs or alcohol will boost your happiness meters, and I didn't really get the chance. I didn't take the pill that was in the game to do that because I didn't need to, but it is there. But so I didn't find out what the consequences of that would be. But in real life, like it's more of a short term rather than a long term solution for happiness. This game, someone said like it's very negatively slanted towards, you know, that sometimes like for the people that are homeless, you know, receiving shelter, obtaining food, getting money or clothes are short-term goals, or finding a way of being a homeless, and like these are like that would bring happiness just to survive, and having someone give you money. So that should definitely pump up your happiness meter in the game, just being able to do these things. But I didn't see that. I saw your happiness was, from what I remembered, like static when these things happen. But like getting food when you're starving, like that should improve your happiness, and it's on the route to like true happiness. So even though the game's not perfect, and it seems to upset people that did respond that were homeless, from what I saw, this ultimately I feel like this game makes it work in works because ultimately it makes you think what life would be like being homeless, and some of the struggles that people go through daily living on the streets. And from what I've seen, this is like the best homeless simulator ever made, at least ever played. And it's not like a game concept that you see all the time that's explored, surprisingly. But the game costs $21, which is a little bit pricey. And the DLC is 10, which I didn't realize existed, which expands on the stores and everything, which was what I was referring to earlier. It's an interesting experience, although I feel like $20 is still kind of pricey when it feels like an experience that you would visit for an hour unless you're super dedicated, and then you would like start playing something else. So that's yeah, that's what I find. Like it's an interesting concept game, but like you'd have to be big on these concept games to really like it. I'd still say I think it's an 8.5 out of 10. You know, maybe you'll revisit this some other time, and like it's a solid experience. Even if it's pretty basic, it feels like a basic simulation, but it's, you know, rather than a perfect, accurate homeless survival experience. So keep on surviving and keep on gaming.